live. And we'll get started here in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Meteorologist David Tillman here in our Digital Weather Center. Wanted to do an evening update on what's happening with Imelda. You may or may not have heard Imelda did become a tropical storm earlier this afternoon, but almost as fast as it became a tropical storm, it has now been downgraded to a tropical depression. Whether it's a storm, whether it's a depression, whether it's nothing named at all, we still do believe that this is going to be a major system for Southeast Texas, and that heavy rain and flooding are the main threats. You don't have to have a named storm after all to produce flooding. We've had several storms to do it without being a tropical system. Memorial Day, Tax Day floods come to mind, of course, and it appears that as this system slowly moves north through Southeast Texas, that we will be dealing with some extremely heavy rain, some nearly stationary bands of rain that could set up over the metropolitan area, and that could lead to some significant street flooding out there and some significant flooding that may even come into some houses, and we may even have some problems with the bayous as well. So this is a serious situation that we hope will be over by the end of business on Thursday, but between now and then, over the next 48 hours, we're going to be dealing with quite a bit of rain and some problems. So with all that being said, here's what you can expect from the storm. Through Thursday is the main time period for this. Several rounds of heavy training thunderstorms, 6 to 12 inches of rain widespread. There's going to be a huge area of Southeast Texas that gets to 6 to 12 inches. I'll show that to you coming up in just a moment. But a few isolated spots might get as much as 20 inches. I've got a computer model that's indicating that that will be the case. It's actually placing it in a part of Southeast Texas. It's a graphic we haven't shown you on air so far this evening, but I feel fairly comfortable that it might be on to something, and I'll show you what part of Southeast Texas has the best chance of seeing that. With this particular system, street flooding is likely. I think it's a foregone conclusion because we're already seeing some street flooding, and because there's so much more rain to come, that will be a major problem. Creek and bayou flooding are certainly possible. It's going to depend on exactly where the heavy rain bands set up. Of course, if they set up anywhere inside Harris County and stay there for several hours, the creeks are going to be coming out of their banks, and eventually we'll see the rapid rises on the bayous as well, and some of those could come out of their banks as well. Here's the latest information on Imelda. It is now a tropical depression with max winds at 35 miles per hour, pressures at 1,007 millibars, moving north at 7. You see the center of circulation is clearly away from the coast now, so it has been moving north over the last several hours, and it appears to be approaching the city of Houston from the south, and I'll show that to you coming up on radar in just a bit. Latest track from the National Hurricane Center basically takes the center of circulation over towards the Interstate 45 corridor and then begin to move it slowly to the north. So first thing on Wednesday morning could be located very near the city of Houston, maybe just a little bit farther to the north along Interstate 45. Then it'll be moving north, making it to maybe Huntsville. This is the center, not all the effects, but just the center of circulation sometime on Wednesday evening. By Thursday morning, it'll move a little bit farther to the north, and then it'll be approaching the Interstate 20 corridor, it looks like, as we get into late Thursday afternoon. The problem with this is that all of the effects from a disorganized system like this don't just occur around the center of circulation. You can get heavy rain far away from the center of circulation, and typically what happens, you have some core rains around the center, and then you have all these feeder bands on the outside of it, typically to the east and to the south, which I'll show you in just a bit, and those are the ones that typically produce tremendous amounts of rain and flooding. Here's a look at the latest radar loop. okay, of what's happening with the system. We're looping this over about the last hour or so, it appears, and it looks like the center of circulation is coming right up through here. So about an hour ago, it was down around the Iowa Colony area. Now it appears to be right about there. So along and just north of the South Belt in the vicinity of Highway 288 is where the center of circulation is located. That is moving to the north, right up Highway 288 towards the South Loop at this particular time. So the center of circulation appears to be moving just to the west of Hobby Airport, and typically to the east and south of that center of circulation is where the heaviest rain falls in a situation like that, and that is where the heaviest rain is so far. Now, over the city of Houston and most of Harris County, we're seeing colors of blue and green. That is light rain. That is not causing a problem. It is wetting the roadways out there, but it's not causing any major problems. But you also see, as you get down towards Hobby Airport and go south into Pearland and all the way down into the Brazoria County, actually all the way down to the coast, we're seeing a bunch of orange and red colors, and that's where the heaviest rain is occurring at this particular time. Now, we've got this one heavy band right here that extends from around Smith Point there in Chambers County down into the Bolivar Peninsula, and it appears to be becoming a bit stationary there. So this could eventually become a problem there along Highway 87 if you live along the Bolivar Peninsula, and then the southern end of that extends into parts of Galveston County. So this is a somewhat skinny but nearly stationary band of rain that's probably going to continue for several hours. If it starts to set up right over the city of Galveston and stay there, we can see significant street flooding problems in Galveston as we head through the evening hours. Farther to the west, we're seeing some heavy rain now around Hobby Airport, extending down Highway 35 into Pearland, on down into the Alvin area. The rain just continues extending on to the south along Highway 35. Highway 35, probably not a good highway to be on this evening because the rain has been falling there for several hours, and it appears that it's going to continue to fall there for several more hours. We go a little bit farther to the west. You can see that that band extends down Highway 35 into the Angleton area, then all the way west into West Columbia. We've seen flood advisories issued for this particular band of rain, and we do believe that more advisories will continue to be issued because, as you see in just a moment, this band has already produced upwards of 4 inches of rain in some spots, and because the rain continues to pound the same areas, some places could get 6, 7, 8 inches rain this evening before this band finally lifts to the north. Reason why it's not lifting to the north is because the center of circulation is moving so slow, and there's even the possibility that that could stall. If that stalls, that means these feeder bands are not going to be moving hardly at all, and that means just, several places will see quite a bit of heavy rain in a row. All right, let's widen the shot out just a bit and let me show you the area that is under a brand new flood advisory. The old one expired at about 7:15, so this is the new one that was basically issued for this nearly stationary band of extremely heavy rain. This one goes until 9:15. It basically includes Brazoria County, doesn't really include Harris County just yet. That's because most of the heavy rain is to the south, and we don't have an advisory in effect around the Galveston area just yet, but that could change with that skinny band that's occurring over there. So mainly the cities of Angleton, Manville, West Columbia, Wild Peach, and anywhere in between there is where we are very concerned about this nearly stationary heavy rain band that doesn't appear to be moving very much. That's already caused quite a bit of issues there as far as street flooding goes. Here's a look at how much rain that we've seen so far. Now, you go into parts of Fort Bend County, less than an inch of rain around Missouri City and Sugar Land, no problems there. You get to the Highway 288 corridor there, south of Houston, and you run into a 3-inch rainfall total so far. You get down to around Lake Jackson, and we've seen anywhere from 3 to as much as 4 inches of rain in that area. Farther to the east there along the Gulf Freeway, Highway 3 there, right next to Galveston Bay, nearly 2 inches of rain, and that extends down into Galveston Island. And again, because we continue to get more rain hitting the same areas time after time again, you could just imagine that before long, with the rain coming down at 1 to maybe 2 inches an hour, the drainage systems will be overwhelmed there, and it'll be very hard to pass down there. So we'll go into from an advisory situation into a significant street flooding situation, flash flooding in a very short period of time. Here's a wide shot on Mega Doppler. It shows that you go north of Interstate 10, not much is happening right now. We are seeing a little bit of rain there wrapping into parts of Liberty County around that circulation. Eventually some of that will move into Conroe. But we're thinking that areas along and north of Interstate 10, it's going to be several more hours before you have significant issues with the rain. You've got some wet roads out there, but I think if you have evening plans this evening, you should be able to get out and get those in without any major problems. However, Brazoria County and eventually Galveston and Chambers counties is where we think this evening there will be significant problems because of this heavy rain, so watch out for that. Oddly enough, Matagorda County, Wharton County, not seeing much rain right now. Colorado County and Austin County not seeing much activity, and it's over here on the west part of the viewing area that may not pick up as much rain as some other places. Okay, so let's see here. Let's look at future track right now. Okay, this is 10 o'clock tonight, and it shows that we will still have heavy bands of rain, especially south of Houston, with the center of circulation somewhere near the city or just to the south of it. We put this into motion and we go towards 6 a.m. and you can see what just happened. We went from some fairly small bands of heavy rain to a huge area of heavy rain according to this particular computer model, and it's showing that Brazoria County could still be picking up extremely heavy rain first thing in the morning. It also shows that a good bit of Fort Bend County, a good bit of Galveston County, and maybe even the southern half of Harris County could be receiving extremely heavy rain in time for the morning rush hour. So we're very concerned about Wednesday morning's rush hour, and if the rain sticks around, it can stick around all the way into Wednesday evening as well. We put this into motion. We go until noontime. I don't know if you can see it on the screen here, but these lines here, that's where the center of circulation is according to this particular computer model. It still has it over parts of Harris County. So that means between right about now until tomorrow at noon, this system is not going to move any more than about 15 miles. That's an extremely slow moving storm system. And you know what happens whenever you have a lot of moisture coming in off the Gulf of Mexico and a very slow moving system, you can get stationary bands of rain that produce flooding. And so this is the reason why we're so concerned about this situation. This particular image also shows a couple other things. It shows the core rains wrapping around the center of circulation. And then it shows these bands on the outside of that, these feeder bands. Either one of these can produce tremendous rains and cause tremendous problems. So this is a situation that we're very concerned about. What we also see here is that on the clean side of the storm, the western part of the viewing area, there may be some bands of rain rotating through, but places like College Station, Brenham, and Columbus might not have significant problems. But you get east of there over towards Houston, Houston to the east and to the south, we could have some major problems around at noontime coming up tomorrow. Put this into motion towards 6 p.m. This particular model has the center of circulation moving a little bit farther to the north, being near the Conroe area just to the west of there. Core rains wrapping into parts of Montgomery County at that time. So tomorrow evening, we could have some serious flooding issues beginning in parts of Montgomery County. Certainly issues could be lingering in Houston and Harris County, and we could still have heavy rain in places like Brazoria County, eastern Fort Bend County, and Galveston County. And that is the reason why there's the possibility that somebody gets more than 20 inches of rain out of this thing, and this particular computer model is saying Brazoria County is going to be one of the main spots that get it, and that's what we've been saying all along. I just put this into motion and went all the way to 6 o'clock a.m. Thursday morning. Center of circulation still meandering around southeast Texas. Core rains into Montgomery County, core rains into Liberty County, core rains into parts of Chambers County. What is very, very concerning to us is the fact that once we get to Thursday morning, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, a feeder band, a stationary feeder band, could set up someplace in southeast Texas and produce extremely high rainfall rates, maybe as high as 3 to 4 inches an hour. If this particular scenario does come to fruition, then we're talking about a flood of the magnitude of, say, a tax day flood, a Memorial Day flood, or something like that. Unfortunately, places that were hit so hard by Hurricane Harvey could be some of the main places that get the heavy rain. Southern parts of Harris County, Galveston County, and back into parts of Brazoria County. We had a bullseye there, if you recall, in Harvey. Some places picked up over 50 inches of rain there down in parts of Galveston County and extreme southern parts of Harris County, and a heavy rain band could set up very close to there at that particular time. We go to noontime, heavy rain still along the Gulf Freeway there. Maybe not as bad out to the west, but certainly from Houston to the east and south is where this particular model is saying that the worst of it's going to be. I would say along and east of the Interstate 45 corridor, for sure, problems out of this situation. But even if you live west of Interstate 45, say about 15 miles or so to the west, you could still be under the gun for some extremely heavy rain. Put this into motion again. This is Thursday evening. Notice how even though the center of circulation has now moved to the north of southeast Texas, those rain bands may continue to produce heavy rain in parts of southeast Texas. And our computer models continue to say that Brazoria County, Harris County, Galveston counties could be some of the main places hit. Okay? Now, this comes to us from the Weather Prediction Center. This is a branch of the National Weather Service. The job of the Weather Prediction Center is to forecast heavy rain events. Okay, and what they're basically saying here for Wednesday is basically from Houston and Harris County, east, northeast, and south in this red area, on a scale of 1 to 4, with 4 being the worst, this is at least a level 3. Okay. Now, I read their discussion a little while ago, and they've been saying this for the last day or so, that this may be upgraded to a level 4 or high risk situation. So we could be in a high risk as we get into Wednesday. They're saying the same thing about Thursday. Here's the areas that the official forecast from the National Weather Service is saying is going to be the worst. It's in the red that you see here, not including necessarily College Station, Brenham, Columbus, and Wharton. Now, it's not to say that they won't have some issues out there, but the issues will be somewhat scattered versus the numerous or widespread issues that we're going to have in this red area and on to the east there. So inside this red area, Sugar Land, Katy, Houston, the Woodlands, Conroe, up to Beat Ice, over to Huntsville, over to the Lake Livingston area, south to Cleveland, south to Liberty, Dayton, DeSeta, down into parts of Chambers County, Winnie, Mont Belvieu, and then down all the way down to the coast from Angleton over towards Galveston, San Luis Pass. All of these areas could see significant flooding problems. This is the reason why the flash flood watch has been issued. At this time, it goes through 1 p.m. Wednesday, but I am almost 100% sure that it's going to be extended into Thursday. And probably as we get into Wednesday, it's probably going to be extended north to include more of these counties. Maybe not so much out to the west. College Station, Brenham, Columbus, you may stay out of the flash flood watch, but you go east of those areas, I'm pretty sure we're going to be in a flash flood watch as we head into Thursday. Just between now and 1 p.m. on Wednesday, 1 p.m. tomorrow, in the green areas here, most areas picking up 3 to 6 inches with isolated spots over 10. But of course, we're going to have another day of extremely heavy rain as we get into Wednesday night and Thursday. So some of these totals could get even higher than that. Here's the graphic I was showing you just a little while ago. This is our future track computer model. Okay, we show this every day to you. And typically when we show you a map like this, you might see 1 inch or 2 of rain on it. You might see a ½ an inch, less than that. In this particular case, this particular computer model is saying that in this white area here, which extends from Houston to the east and to the south, anywhere from 15 to 25 inches of rain is going to fall from this system between now and 7 p.m. on Thursday. So I'm sure I'm going to answer some of these questions here in just a bit. If you want a good look at what the computer model is saying, where the heaviest rain is going to fall, and is the heaviest rain going to fall in your neighborhood, I'm showing this map to you because I think it's fairly close to being right, plus or minus about 5 inches. What do I mean by that? Well, it's saying 7 inches of rain for the central part of the city of Houston. That could easily be 12, 14 inches of rain. Okay, it's saying 24 for Angleton. That could be 19, or it could be more than 24. You see, so plus or minus about 5 inches. I think this is pretty close to being correct. There will be some isolated places out here, College Station to Columbus, that pick up 3 or 4 inches, but there will also be some places that only pick up an inch or so of rain. Look at that, 9 inches in Conroe, 9 inches in Humble, 22 inches there in Pearland. You get the idea. Houston, east and south is where the worst of this is going to be, and a 20-inch rain is not completely out of the question. Here's the official forecast from the Weather Prediction Center, a branch of the National Weather Service. They are saying basically out here about 1 to 4 inches of rain is going to be what we see. But they're also saying that from Houston to the east and south and northeast of Houston up towards Livingston, that 6 to 12 inches of rain is going to be common, widespread, and they're also saying that a few areas could get over 20 inches of rain. So to put that into perspective, that is a tax day-like storm. Now, what we don't want to do here is say, okay, this storm is just like tax day, because tax day, the rain, the heaviest of the rain fell right over the city of Houston with that. What we're saying here from a forecast perspective is we don't know exactly where the heaviest rain is going to fall, but we think generally speaking somewhere from Houston to the northeast, east, and south that there's going to be 6 to 12 inches, and where those heavy rain bands develop, especially Wednesday night into Thursday, somebody could go over 20 inches, so this could be a major problem. Quick look at the extended forecast. We went ahead because we know this is a major situation and put 100% chances in the forecast for both Wednesday and Thursday, tapering off to 60% chances on Friday. There could still be some lingering isolated problems on Friday. Now, the main storm system, the core, the low pressure that is Imelda, is going to be north of us by Friday, but our computer models are indicating there's still going to be a tremendous amount of moisture over the area, so there could still be some rain bands on Friday that if they fall over areas that pick up quite a bit of rain, we could still have some problems there. And there you have the 20% chances over the weekend. First day of fall coming up on Monday. Moisture begins to move back in off the Atlantic by next, or off the Gulf of Mexico by next week, and that means we can have problems then again. I want to get back to the radar right quick for those that may have joined me just a little late to show you one more time what's happening with the storm. Center of circulation, a little hard to see, but on this looping mode, but it appears to have moved from Iowa Colony, and it now appears to be right along Highway 288, just to the north of the South Belt and approaching the South Loop from the south. So right along Highway 288, north of the South Belt, and approaching the South Loop from the south. That's where the center of circulation is located. And then as we widen the shot out and look at Houston, most of the city just seeing light rain at this time. We've got a heavy band there over parts of Chambers County. Some of the rain has been pretty heavy over Galveston County. And then we have this huge area of heavy rain that extends from Pearland down to Alvin and over towards the Angleton and West Columbia areas. This is the part of Southeast Texas that we're most concerned about for the rest of this evening and overnight for significant street flooding, flash flooding as well. So watch out if you're driving along Highway 35, Highway 6 there. Once you get down to Manville and you continue south, you're going to run into some issues there with a lot of water potentially on the road. Down Highway 288, especially as you begin to approach the Angleton area, you get within about 10 miles of Angleton from the north. Extremely heavy rain is going to be falling there, and that rain is going to continue. And because that rain is going to continue for the next couple of hours at least, and maybe even longer than that, a flood advisory is in effect until 9:15. Okay, so let's take a couple of questions here. Sixton Loop past 45 to 225. Kathy wants to know what kind of rain should I expect. Okay, 610 south past 45 to 225 to 146. Kathy, your particular area over here, is going to absolutely be one of the areas that we watch out for extremely high rainfall totals. If you live in an area that typically floods in heavy rain situations, you might want to think about being someplace else, or certainly you need to keep an eye on what's happening with the weather. And if the water begins to rise, you may want to try to get out of there. But from Houston to the east and south, and even northeast of Houston is where we're going to be very concerned over the next couple of days of extreme street flooding and flash flooding, which may come into some homes. Chelsea wants to know, is it coming north towards the Woodlands? Yes, it is. Okay, it hasn't made it there yet. It won't make it there this evening. It's going to be a little while before it makes it up towards the Woodlands. But as a matter of fact, in the Woodlands, there's a possibility that you wake up tomorrow morning and it's not pouring rain outside your door. And you say, well, okay, well, maybe I'll just go ahead and go to work. Well, the problem with that is that by the time you get out of work tomorrow evening, the heavy rain could have shifted out of Houston into the Woodlands. Okay, so maybe not the best of ideas to go to work tomorrow, especially if you live in the city of Houston and points north of the Woodlands. If it's not raining first thing in the morning, if it's not raining hard, we do expect rain to move in that direction as we go through the day. Okay. Let's see here. Tracy wants to know about Pearland. Pearland is one of the places that the heavy rain is very close to you right now. Actually, it is raining hard there in Pearland. We can zoom into Pearland. I'm going to go ahead and stop this loop just for a second and zoom in some of the places that people are asking about. But let's see, here is Pearland right here. So yeah, you're getting some heavy rain there in Pearland. It has just moved into your location. The problem with you in Pearland that not only has the rain just started, but it's probably going to last for quite some time, for several more hours. So if you're in Pearland, things might be okay right now. You might be just dealing with rain that you typically see. You might be able to get out over the next hour or so and get some things done. But the later and later we get into the evening and especially into the overnight hours, if this heavy rain continues to fall over you, eventually some of these roads are going to start to go underwater and we're going to start to have some problems. Okay? Let's see here. David wants to know, any flooding expected in Northeast Houston, Beltway 8 near JFK? Certainly a possibility. If you live inside Harris County, if you live inside Liberty County, Montgomery County, Walker County, Pocatello counties, if you live inside Chambers County, Galveston County, Brazoria County, Eastern Fort Bend County especially, maybe even Matagorda County, if you live in any of those counties, flooding, significant flooding is possible. It's just a matter of when it makes it to your area. Here's an interesting one. Veronica wants to know if Cypress will be affected, okay? And Cypress is on the west side there, on the northwest side. Cypress is kind of going to be on that, possibly on that borderline between maybe you get a ton of rain, maybe you miss the worst of the rain. So if you want to know if it's possible that you get some rain there in Cypress, obviously, yes, it is possible, some heavy rain and some flooding issues. But I think it's more likely that places like Pearland and Houston and over to the east, over towards Baytown, and then south into parts of Friendswood and League City and Lake Jackson and places like that, Angleton, it's more likely that those places receive problems than you, but there's still a possibility that you do pick up some problems there. Ashley wants to know about Magnolia, Texas, or the Woodlands. Yes, there's a possibility that you receive some extremely heavy rain, just like we've been saying. Armand says, I need some rain in Katy. Be careful what you wish for there. We do expect that you will get some rain. Hopefully it won't be so much that it's too much rain, but yes, you do have some rain coming to Katy. Samuel says, what about Baytown? My coworker is saying she can't come in tomorrow. I think she's lying. Baytown certainly in an area that could receive substantial rainfall from this system. It sounds like the map that I showed a little while ago is a good map to show one more time. And this is basically a rough idea of what could happen in this particular situation. I think it has the areas of heavy rain pegged in this particular situation. And that's why I'm showing it to you. Typically, we don't show you this map because it has specific amounts for specific places, and we know that's not going to be exactly right. However, I think it has the general idea correct. And the general idea here is that along and east of the Interstate 45 corridor, tremendous rains, significant flash flooding is possible. South of Houston, Brazoria County especially, east and south parts of Fort Bend County, all the way down into Matagorda County. 7, 8, 9, 10 inches of rain. Some places possibly up to 20 inches of rain. These are all possibilities. This particular map also shows that across the western part of the viewing area, maybe not as much as farther east. Now, I believe personally there will be some places out here that get 3 or 4 inches of rain, but it's not going to be as steady out here. It's not going to be as widespread as it's going to be farther to the east. So I'm not as concerned for those of you in College Station, Brenham, and Columbus, and down towards maybe even the Wharton area, but I'm very concerned about Harris County, Montgomery County, Liberty County, Chambers County, Galveston County, Brazoria County, and Matagorda counties, because somewhere between about 8 to 12 inches of rain is going to be common for these areas, and there will be some isolated places that go over 20 inches of rain with this particular system. Okay, Lorena wants to know about downtown Houston first thing in the morning. So she's asking more of a timing thing. So let me go through Future Track once again. I think it's doing a decent job of showing what's going to happen with the storm. Here's 10 p.m. It's saying that the worst of the rain is still going to be south of Houston. Okay, so let's put this into motion. First thing in the morning. Worst of the rain begins to intensify. The area of rain begins to expand. It expands into the city of Houston. Some of it makes it downtown. So by that time, from the city of Houston south into Brazoria County, south into Galveston County, Interstate 45, Highway 35, Highway 288, South Loop, South Belt, the Southwest Freeway out into parts of Sugar Land, Interstate 10 there in either direction, east or west, could have major street flooding issues. Farther to the north, not saying that there won't be issues, but the issues will probably be a little bit more spotty first thing in the morning. That's 6 a.m. Watch what happens by noontime. Heavy rain begins to expand north, okay? Here's the core right here. Wherever the circulation is, that's where the core rains are going to be. Now, I will admit something to you. The system appears to be moving farther north quicker than what our computer models are saying. I think it's probably going to stall somewhere, unfortunately, in the vicinity of Houston. If that happens, then the core rains will be over Harris County. That's a tremendous problem. And then you have all these rain bands to the east and south of it. So Liberty County, down into parts of Chambers County, Galveston County, Brazoria County, Fort Bend County, all of these places could be getting hit with tremendous rains as we begin to approach 12 p.m. tomorrow. 6 p.m., we still have extremely heavy rain bands over the area, but now look at this. Some of it begins to make it into parts of Montgomery County. So the Woodlands and Conroe and up towards Huntsville could start to have significant issues from heavy rain. So that's what I was saying a little while ago. Okay, you wake up first thing in the morning, you live in the Woodlands, you live in Conroe, you look out the window, hey, it's not doing anything. I don't think this is a problem for me. Well, it could become a problem late in the day. Okay, so by the time you get to the lunch hour, and certainly by the time you get to the evening rush hour, you may not have had a problem most of the day, then you may start to have a problem. So what if you leave home, you get someplace, and all of a sudden the water starts to rise? Well, then you're caught, because it'll be raining not only where you went, but it's going to start to rain at your house at that particular time. Out here, maybe not so much, but certainly the Interstate 45 corridor, north and south, could be experiencing some major problems. And that might not be the worst of it. Watch what happens to this map as we go from 6 p.m. into 7 a.m. on Thursday. Okay? Now, this computer model is saying the center of circulation is going to reform or become stationary and stay over Harris County. I can't completely rule that out, okay? So you know that Houston and Harris County will have those core rains continuing if that center of circulation is still there. It's showing heavy rain into parts of Montgomery County, heavy rain in Liberty County, heavy rain in Polk and San Jacinto counties, but it's also showing an extremely heavy rain band that is going to set up someplace over Chambers, Galveston, and Brazoria counties. Here's what we don't know. We don't know exactly where this extremely heavy rain band is going to set up. But we have fairly good confidence that sometime Wednesday night into Thursday morning that an extremely heavy rain band will set up someplace in southeast Texas. If the center of circulation of the storm does stall over Houston, then this is a pretty good bet of where that rain band is going to be. If this center of circulation ends up, say, right here in parts of Montgomery County, northern Montgomery County, southern parts of Walker County, maybe San Jacinto County, well, that would put this heavy rain band right over the city of Houston. At this point, we don't really know. And so that's why we are alerting everybody of the possibility of some significant flooding issues because of that. Put it into motion, noontime on Thursday, it is still pouring in the same areas. Wherever that band sets up, Wednesday night into Thursday morning, it still may be going at noontime. It still may be going by the evening hours on Thursday. We believe things are going to start to back off a bit by the time we get to Friday because the center of circulation is going to be out of southeast Texas, and then things are going to start to calm down. Stephen asked a good question. How accurate is this? Trying to give you some sense of the uncertainty that we have in the forecast. The hard part with all of this is knowing where that center is going to be at any time. It's already doing things that the computer model said that it wouldn't do, okay? The computer models were saying earlier that the storm system would still be down in Brazoria County at this time. The center of circulation is already into parts of Harris County. So it's already doing something different from what the computer models are saying, okay? So what we're basically saying here is that there's a high likelihood for street flooding out of this. So this is a high-end major street flooding event. What we don't know is exactly where the worst of it's going to be. Generally speaking, okay, 6 to 12 inches of rain is going to fall from around Grimes County, Waller County, Fort Bend County, eastern Wharton County, eastern parts of Matagorda County, and then on to the east. Generally speaking, 6 to 12 inches of rain is going to fall. But wherever that heavy rain band sets up, Wednesday night into Thursday, is going to determine who gets more than 20 inches of rain. If that center of circulation is still someplace in southeast Texas, whoever lives just to the east of it and to the south of it is going to have to deal with some extremely heavy rain, and it's next to impossible to know exactly what's going to happen. Now, what I don't have for you are school closings. We're going to talk about that on Eyewitness News tonight at 10. I want to recheck right now exactly if there are any other warnings that have been issued. And no, all we have right now is the flood advisory that we showed you a little while ago from the heavy rain that's falling right now. So that appears to be up to date. Let's see here. Let's see here. Oh, that's a good question. Hedis wants to know, do we have the possibility of any tornadoes with this? And you know what? We've spent so much time wondering about the flooding side of this because we know that's going to be the main thing, that we haven't spent a lot of time looking at tornadoes. So right now, I am going to do a quick analysis here and see if I can determine if there's any tornado risk. And I will go ahead and tell you, because I don't think there's a high tornado risk with this particular situation, because the winds with the storm are just not quite high enough. Okay? Not to say there won't be any tornadoes, but this is not a tropical system that's going to produce a high number of tornadoes. And typically you get the tornadoes with a tropical system when you have strong winds on the east side of the circulation that are blowing pretty good. Actually, we are getting what appears to be 30 to 35 knot winds, which is about a 35 mile an hour to 40 mile an hour wind there at 5,000 feet off the ground east of the center of circulation. We are seeing that right now. Okay, let me check something else. I want to look at the winds near the ground. Let's see here. So near the ground, we're seeing some winds, not all that strong. Okay, now I want to go and look at wind shear. Something we call helicity. It's a measure of spin in the atmosphere. And there is a little bit of wind shear that may produce the possibility of a tornado or two. I'll show it to you on the radar where that is. Let's see. Take the advisory off here so you can see. These storms that are heading into Chambers County, okay, if we were to have an isolated tornado or two this evening, it would be with these storms over here, because according to the analysis I was just looking at, we've got decent winds at the ground, moving almost from south to north, and then aloft you have a wind that's coming in from the southwest. So you have what we call directional shear there, and the winds are picking up in speed as you go up. So I would say with these thunderstorm cells here that are coming off of the Gulf of Mexico, crossing the Bolivar Peninsula, passing by High Island just to the west, it appears right now, and then making it into parts of Chambers County, there's at least a slight risk of seeing a tornado with that. The storms that are farther west over Houston and back into parts of Leak City and back into Angleton, not so much. I want to check one more thing, and that is see how unstable the atmosphere is. Okay, so according to what I'm seeing here, the most unstable air is just offshore, but not by much. So it's right here. So you get tornadoes when you have the combination of wind shear and instability. That combination appears to be highest in this vicinity here. Right along the Gulf Coast there, High Island, Bolivar Peninsula, and then potentially some of the cells that are making it up into Chambers County. So that's a very good question. Thanks for asking about that. Okay. And I'll take another couple of questions, and then we will join you later on tonight on Eyewitness News at 10. Let's see here. Michael wants to know, is this another Harvey? I don't like to use Harvey as a benchmark for any storm that we get, because Harvey was the worst rainstorm in U.S. history in the continental United States. There's not any other storm, not Allison, not Claudette in 1979, not any of the storms that have hit the East Coast, not any storms that have hit Louisiana. There are no storms that compare to Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey has the record for the heaviest rain on flat land, 60 inches. That occurred in about 3 to 4 days or so. Most of it occurred in about 2 days, 2 to 3 days. 50 inches of rain in parts of southeast Harris County, northern Galveston County. I mean, I never like to use Harvey as a benchmark for any storm that we study. However, I would say this particular one has the potential to produce rain similar to what we saw in the Memorial Day flood and in the tax day floods. And in those two floods, in Houston, 10 to 15 inches, north of Houston, in the tax day flood, 15 to 20 inches, okay, on the north side of Harris County. We could very easily see something like that out of this. The hard thing is knowing exactly when that is going to happen. So that's what we're seeing here right now. One more radar update. Center of circulation has crossed the south belt. It is approaching the south loop from the south. There are some core rains that have developed around that center of circulation, so it's raining hard there where Highway 288 and the south belt come together. It's raining hard over towards the Pearland area. Friendswood, you're seeing some heavy rain as well. We've got an extremely heavy band of rain which extends into parts of Brazoria County. We're very concerned about street flooding this evening. Highway 288, Highway 35, Highway 6, the Gulf Freeway. Not so much right now, State Highway 146, but then we do have another heavy band with over there in parts of Chambers County. So that's the way things look right now. The storm does appear to be making some progress to the north. If it were to continue that, that would actually be good news. But our computer models continue to indicate that there's a possibility that this thing stalls over southeast Texas for a couple of days. And if that happens, then certainly Wednesday and even into Thursday could be major problems around here. So that's what we're seeing right now. Imelda is no longer a tropical storm. It is a tropical depression, okay? Irregardless of what the name that you call it, what you classify it as, the main threat is going to be this extremely heavy rain that we're seeing out there right now. The only advisory that we have for the current weather that's going on right now is this flood advisory that's in effect for parts of Brazoria County. So Brazoria County is getting the worst of it right now, but the heavy rain is moving into the southern part of Harris County. And later on tonight and into tomorrow morning, we could be dealing with some significant street flooding problems even into Houston and Harris County. We're going to update you coming up tonight at 10 on the latest information as far as the computer models go, what they are seeing. We're going to show you if the storm is slowing down tonight at 10. And we're going to let you know if anything does change. Hopefully we see some positive changes and we no longer see computer models that are giving us 20 plus inches of rain in isolated spots, but I have a feeling that that won't be the case. I do think we're on the verge of a major flooding situation somewhere in southeast Texas, and a good many people will see significant rain out of this. So please go ahead and tune in tonight on Eyewitness News at 10, Channel 13. We will update you on the latest, and we'll see you then.